to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And we are here to recap the final preseason game the Panthers played last night against the Buffalo Bills. The Panthers won that game 21-0. The score is a little, not quite representative of how the game went, but Panthers won. It was a shutout. We'll take it. Just right off the top, we know there were several injuries. Sam Darnold, Derek Brown, Giovanni Ricci, and Zane Gonzalez, maybe most importantly. We'll talk about those here in a few minutes, but we wanted to talk about the positive things from this game in particular first, because there were a lot of positive things that happened. And I'll just kind of kick it right off with Baker Mayfield. Looked very sharp.
Yeah.
Had a couple of touchdown passes. Made good decisions, went through his reads. He had some time, which is another positive thing we'll talk about here in a minute. But I was really impressed with Baker. I think he's finally, getting a good grasp on this offense. And honestly, just made me pretty excited for week one.
Absolutely. Like you said, he made his reads. He threw accurate passes, even in tight coverages. A few drops by, mostly the running backs,
Chuba.
but, by Chuba, and Rashard Higgins also kind of messed one up. But for the most part, great job. I mean, he looked great out there for what he was doing. I mean, that's something, while watching this game, I was like, wow. Compared to Sam Darnold last year, he looked so much more in command. I know where I'm going to throw it. Boom, boom, boom. He did say in his press conference that he felt like he had a little bit of happy feet, but I could kind of see it, but at the same time, he made the right plays. I don't know what else you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I think what he was referencing was his protection was good, but there was a few times that he sort of created his own pressure by maybe feeling something that wasn't there or kind of moving towards pressure that he probably shouldn't have. But overall, I thought he did a really good job. And I thought when plays broke down and when he had to scramble, that's kind of where he shines, right? Is making something out of nothing, turning a broken play into a positive. We saw that a couple of times last night. I thought the first team offense as a whole looked really good. And I know, something that you and I both really, really wanted to see was that offensive line giving him some time. And I think we definitely saw that.
Oh, absolutely. They gave him a lot of time. Between our starters, I think only he had one. I'm looking at PFF right now. He had one hurry from the starting offensive line. That was given up by Taylor Moton. He wasn't hit. He wasn't hit. He wasn't sacked. So, I mean, one hurry, I'll take it.
So what you're saying is Taylor Moton overrated?
No, I'm saying that, yesterday, or, the game, they played well.
They did, yeah.
The pass blocking per PFF, Icky got the highest grade, followed by Brady Christensen, Sam Tecklenburg, but he wasn't on the starters. Pat Elflein gave up 2 hurries. My fault. I forgot he started. And he's way at the bottom of the PFF for grades. Not surprising, as he always is.
Not a surprise. Would honestly rather see Sam Tecklenburg start over Pat Elflein.
Oh my God, get out of my head.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Icky, though, a big improvement from last week.
Absolutely.
Pass protection particularly. And they highlighted a couple of his reps, and they looked really good. Now, take this with knowledge that we're going up against the second team defense for Buffalo. But they're NFL players, and he stopped them. And, that's good.
And Buffalo has great scheme and great coaching. So I loved it. I understand it is against the second team, but I feel better this way than the other way of, them giving up a lot of pressure and stuff to a second team.
Yeah, and I mean, good for his confidence to play well. building blocks. This is what he's going to have hiccups, but this was a really good game for him. So very happy about that. I guess another standout would be Shi Smith.
Oh yeah, Shi Smith. He's balling. He's been
Yeah.
balling in this preseason. He's looked great. There's nothing I can really say negatively about his play on the field in the preseason.
Yeah, he looked really good. He caught the touchdown last night. I think he had 3 catches total, I believe. I'm not looking at the stats right now, but I think that's the case. But
Uh,
yeah, I mean,
yeah, 3 for 32 and 1 touchdown. And on
okay.
that touchdown, I loved it because Baker. That's when he was getting that happy feet. But Shi Smith found the soft spot of the zone. He flashed his numbers to him, and Baker hit him in right on him.
I
Touchdown.
mean, that Baker had so much time on that play. Like
Yeah.
I watched that play 2 or 3 times. That pocket was wide open. I haven't seen a pocket that wide open since my wife gave birth. I'll be honest with you. It was pretty amazing. Oh man, sorry. I thought about that last night when I watched it, and I wanted to say that. Okay. Let's move over to the defense. Some positive things there as well. I mean, do you want to
Derek
start
Brown.
with? Okay, let's start with Derek Brown. He looked like Aaron Donald out there. He was freaking awesome.
Yes. Him and Ioannidis looked so great as
Mm-hmm.
a tandem. They were up there. Ioannidis got that tip that Jeremy Chin intercepted. I Again, another great play. Bravion Roy, he another good game by him. Still talking about the starters though. I mean, I didn't even really see Brian Burns last night, and that's a good thing because they still were so dominant.
Yeah, I don't know how long Brian Burns was out there. I'm gonna assume he wasn't out there too many
Uh,
snaps.
I see 7 pass rushing. Snaps overall, I am looking up right now. He's up there. That or I just can't find him.
Well, I know
I can't.
DJ Moore was only out there for like 2 or 3 snaps, so I would imagine Burns, being the star of the defense, probably wasn't out there for as many as someone like Icky or even Derek Brown. Oh, Derek Brown was only out there for 10 snaps because he ended up getting a little bit injured.
Yeah.
We can talk about him real quick. He I guess tweaked an oblique. The sideline reporter said that it didn't seem like that big of a deal. It was mainly just because it's only preseason that they pulled him out, but hopefully it's not that big of a deal.
Brian Burns was
Frankie,
on for 10 snaps.
okay,
Sorry.
okay,
I couldn't
okay.
find him because I was looking at the offensive snap count. No, I was really.
Yeah. He didn't. That's one of the things I was thinking as well. He didn't really flash last night, but again, only out there for 10 snaps. Just a little bit of a tune-up for him.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Who did flash though, Jerry? Our boy Frankie Luvu. Just
Wow.
dominant. Honestly, like he looked like he belonged out there.
Frankie Luvu, man, what a story. We're gonna hear so much about. He was out there a good bit, but we're gonna hear about what a story he is. We went on what was it, the 32 podcast? We did a
fans,
reference,
yep.
and we did a reference to the Panthers, and he was like, "Oh, that linebacking core is scary thin. They have Frankie Luvu starting. He's a Jets fan, and we were trying to explain, dude, you missed him last year because he flashed." And then you texted me the greatest response ever. The Jets organization isn't the greatest at talent observation.
Right. Yeah, which that's borne out. That's not. I don't think that's a hot take.
No.
But yeah, I mean, he looked really good. Thomas Davis said it was his first time on the mic, so good job there by Frankie Luvu. I thought he looked really good. I thought J.C. Horn looked really good. I don't know what his PFF grade was, but I didn't see any passes completed against him.
Coverage grade, J.C. Horn had a 75.
Okay.
Second in the corners, Dante had a 77. But that's great. I don't even know. He wasn't even target. He had 0 targets towards his way.
Yeah.
So that means he did what he did last year at the beginning.
Yep. Locked him down. He did have a couple of decent run stops I saw. Or he was at least in on them. I don't know if he got credited with the tackles or not, but he was in on them. So yeah, I was very encouraged by his play. It's the first time he's been out there in a game situation since he got hurt last year. So really good to see him out there. Like you mentioned, Jackson, I thought looked really good in his time out there as well. Our corners, man,
Oh man, it's scary.
vision with really good wideouts and eh, yeah, yeah,
I mean, the
very
one person,
exciting.
the one person,
Um,
C.J. Henderson didn't
who?
look that good, but we'll get into him in here in a second.
Well, you know, there was a couple of passes completed on him that I thought he had pretty good coverage on. The one going kind of out of bounds on the sideline, like he was all in there. That guy just
You're
made a
right.
great
That
catch.
that catch was just an astronomical play. Like,
Yeah, yeah, just a great catch because I mean, CJ Henderson had his arm inside, and the guy just grabbed it. So that was just a really good offensive play. But yeah, I mean, if CJ Henderson's our third best corner, I'm not. That doesn't bother me. Like I'm okay with that
yeah,
because CJ Henderson's looked pretty good in camp. So I think better things to come from him.
yep.
Who else kind of flashed at you on defense?
Well, there's a couple. Tay Hayes had another good game. Graded out great
Yeah.
on PFF. Had a 75, right below J.C. Horn, and of course, Brandon Smith dominated
Mm-hmm.
again. Like he kept flashing. Almost had an interception too.
Yeah.
Man, I'm
Yeah, he's
really,
good.
I'm really, really pleased with him and Frankie Louvu. And when Shaq gets back, we know what Shaq is. I feel like the
Mhm.
linebacking core isn't as bad as I originally was worried. If that makes any
Well,
sense.
no, I agree. I think, over the preseason, they've certainly grown on me, and we'll see when they get into real game situations against first team offenses. And, I would expect maybe some growing pains. But again, we haven't seen Shaq out there with this group. And Shaq's the best linebacker of all of them. So that's going to certainly improve the overall core. Um, I think it's kind of good that he hasn't been out there because Frankie and Brandon Smith and these other guys have had to step up and kind of take on more of the leadership role out there and more of the, diagnosing the plays, things like that. So I think that's been a positive, honestly. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think the linebacking core not nearly as scary as we first thought
Yeah.
in terms
Now,
of dearth of talent.
now, do we want to go ahead and get into the negatives, or do you have any last positives you want to talk about?
Um, I thought honestly, just kind of in general, this was a fun game to watch. I thought the Panthers did really well. Um, but in terms of negatives, I mean, let's just go in and start out right away with the injuries. Being the biggest negatives. I would say probably the most impactful one would be Zane Gonzalez
Oh
tweaking the
yeah,
groin, kicking on the sideline. And he went down immediately, and you could just tell like he
yeah.
was in a lot of pain. So no real word yet as of 3:30 on Saturday if that's gonna linger or go into the season, or if he's gonna be placed on any sort of list. But groin is never good, especially for a kicker who needs that range of motion. So hoping it's not as bad as it looks.
Yeah, hoping, and that's all we can do at this point. Otherwise, they'll probably have to bring in somebody and figure out what they're gonna do with Zane because I doubt they'll keep two kickers. Jeez,
Well, they
the,
got to keep Zane because I mean they signed him to that big deal, so they're going to keep him.
well, I meant
You
more
know,
put him on IR for the six
yeah,
games and then bring him
right,
back. That's more what I was thinking if need be.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
So now another big injury, Sam Darnold. I believe they called it a
Mm-hmm.
high ankle sprain now, and he's out prematurely. They're calling 4 to 6 weeks, and that's
Yeah,
gonna really affect the roster the way it shapes out because with him being out 4 to 6 weeks, I think that automatically you have to keep PJ Walker now.
well, I think they will keep PJ Walker. I don't think they have to. I think they could sign one of these other veterans that ends up getting cut. But it probably makes sense to keep PJ Walker since he knows the system and he's been here. He knows the guys. And if it's not a season long thing for Sam, which it doesn't sound like, then I think it makes sense to keep PJ for, a month. Then Sam comes back. You can,
Waive
if you need
him,
that
slide
roster
him back in
spot,
the
you can.
practice squad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I would expect that to be the case. But yeah, they said 4 to 6 weeks is what Ian Rappaport reported today. Um, so not as bad as it kind of looked. It almost looked like he broke his ankle,
Yeah.
but it seems like it's just sprained. So not terrible. Giovanni Ricci also had a groin during the game, which really sucks because he's been kind of one of the nice surprises of camp and preseason as well. So hoping again that he comes back quickly. And then I mentioned Derek Brown with the oblique. Doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but certainly worth watching. What other kind of I don't want to say negatives, but things that you saw that could be improved on during the game?
Once our first string defensive line went out, they only played like 2 or 3 drives. I think it was after that interception, Derek Brown, Ioannidis, Burns, they were all gone. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when Buffalo's second string started moving the ball by running it down their throats. So that causes me to worry because that was our weakness the past couple years. Teams would just figure out, hey, we can run it down their throats, and that's what they would do. Now, again, the starters aren't playing at this time and played really well, but defensive tackles and defensive ends do rotate in and out. It's not they don't play all the time. So that makes me a little worried. And Davion Nixon, for how much this coaching staff talks him up, hasn't really shown anything to me. Bravion Roy, who
Yeah.
I was shocked made the roster 2-3 years ago, is now looking like a better player. Like bar none, he's our third highest run defensive graded player last night with a 87. So I think you have to keep Bravion Roy. He may have to jump up in the depth chart to really help with the run. Not passing the starters, passing the backups.
Right. Like to be a backup. He needs work. I mean, to be fair, on the rushing side, the Buffalo only averaged 3.2 yards per rush. Okay. So they didn't have a great rushing game.
No.
Overall, the Panthers defense did a really great job. But I agree with you. I saw that Blackshear kid, especially. He seemed like every time he touched the ball, he was making guys miss and getting 3 or 4 yards further down the field than he probably should have.
Yeah.
James Cook with the first team that Buffalo was playing out there, he didn't really do much.
He had
Duke
one
Johnson didn't
he
do
only had
much.
3 carries,
Yeah,
not one 9 yard run and then 2 for 4. So
which I think that was like right up the middle too. That 9 yard run,
it was.
right into the. In fact, they said he ran right at Derek Brown. Um, so yeah, I would agree. I think certainly what we saw last year would give me a little bit of hesitation. Uh, you know, with the run defense that we've seen so far in this preseason. So hoping that when the first team's out there the entire game, it looks a lot better. Um, I would say one of my negatives, we've been talking about him a lot in this preseason. Terrace Marshall. He played the most snaps of anyone on the offense, and
Yeah.
he had 1 target, 0 catches. I sent you a video earlier today just showing one of his routes, and he didn't get off the line well. He was, shadowed very closely by the DB. His break looks slow. He just looks slow in general. So I don't know if he's still hampered by this injury that's kind of been keeping him out of practices here and there. But something's got to happen with him because he does not look good.
Yeah, that cornerback was Elam, who's a highly touted rookie, so that doesn't shock me that they had him on there. But yeah, I agree. Terrace Marshall, 43 snaps, not one reception, 1 target. If he wasn't last year's second round pick with high ceiling a bit availability, honestly, I would not be shocked if he got cut. But with that said, with the second round pick last year, big, strong, fast, measurables, he's
Mhm.
gonna make the team, but he's got to do something because right now he is really down that depth chart.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the only reason he's making this team is because of where he was picked last year. And they
Yeah,
don't want to give up on a second rounder quite yet because
no,
he hasn't shown anything outside of last honestly. Uh, to figure out what it is that's causing him not to perform. Um, I, I don't know that there were too many other negatives really for me. I didn't think Darnold looked very good when he was out there. Made some pretty bad throws. One, he almost had an interception, like his second or third throw, went right through the defender's hands. He did have a nice rushing touchdown, and he kind of stiff armed Elam, who we just talked about.
mm-hmm.
That was nice and fun to watch, but he did not look very good. PJ moved the ball down the field decently, um, so nothing really too negative to say about PJ. But our rushing game didn't look very good. We only
That
averaged 2 yards per rush.
yeah, that was gonna be my big negative. Our
Yeah,
run, even with the first team, looked awful. Looked
yeah,
awful. Uh, Foreman and Hubbard, they're supposed to be spelling CMC so he doesn't have so many. They look awful, and that goes against the
mm-hmm.
run blocking too. I mean, open up lanes for them, but I'm trying to find their run blocking. I mean, everybody just played like crap. Like Brady
Yeah.
Christensen
It
had the
it
highest grade of
wasn't good.
82, and that's about it, man. It's really ugly on the PFF grades for run blocking. Right there, I don't know what to do if our first team offensive line cannot open up holes for them. I mean, yes, Christian McCaffrey can make guys miss and make more yardage, but you're going to eventually have to run the ball with these other guys, Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a couple of runs that I thought, oh, CMC would have made
Yeah,
a lot more out of that. Particularly one with Chuba where he just cut the wrong way. He kind of cut into the defense instead of going around the defense. I thought that CMC probably would have taken that another 20, 30 yards. Um, so I think a lot of it is just, maybe Chuba's just not very good,
mm-hmm.
honestly. I don't know. Um, but that could be the case. Um, so yeah, the run Carolina run game, it really hasn't looked good all preseason,
Yeah, I was
honestly.
going to say the best running backs in the preseason have been Lovett and Stephen Brown. So,
Yeah, Spencer Brown. Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Lovett looked good. He ran strong. He finished out runs. He had some nice catches. Uh, he had like 71 yards total. So I thought, he was probably the best offensive player outside of, Baker and Shy,
Yeah,
really
me
out there
too.
today. So,
I think he's a very big, potential for practice squad. And that's not
yeah,
a negative. That's where he wants to be. I
no,
mean, he wants to make the 53, but I think
sure.
strong candidate for that. That way we have a backup because, like you said, Chuba just has not looked good. I kept
Nah,
saying last year that they needed to feed him more. That with more carries, he seemed to get better. But now with CMC back, I mean, he's not going to get those, and rightfully so. He's
no,
not going to get them.
right. Yeah. So, Johnny, who came in and made a nice um, extra point. It's good to know that if he has to, he can,
Yeah,
because that was not the case last year. We did not really have anyone that could come in and do that. Also, just a really nice punting night for Hecker. I thought every time he came out there, he made good things happen. So, and honestly, you know what? Shout out to Matt Barkley on Buffalo for his punting job. He had one that was really nice. It like got
That
down
one
to
that
the
bounced and
8 or 9
rolled.
yard line. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it worked for him, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him credit for it. He's not a punter,
No,
um, so
I
yeah, I
I
thought the punters were both good. You know me, I like to talk punters. So
well, my thought was I kind of wish with it being preseason, if we would have been just like, hey, let Johnny Hecker pump for you guys. We need our return men to get some work
oh,
too.
that
Like
would
just
have
let
been
them.
interesting.
Johnny, go out there, kick for them, and literally trot to the sideline. Don't get yourself hurt.
Yeah,
I
that would have been interesting.
I mean,
Definitely
it's
would have
preseason.
never
Let's.
happened, but it would have been interesting.
I mean,
um,
at least let our guys get some work in.
yeah, I do want to give one more kind of shout out, just because we haven't talked about this guy yet. But I thought Marquand McCall, the defensive tackle, fourth
Oh yeah.
string, kind of third, fourth string. I thought he looked really good. I mean, he was just man. Shout out to him. He had a really had a nice QB hit and a sack as well. So I thought he looked really good. 3 sacks for the Panthers in this game. So all right, do you want to really quickly run through some stats? We won't have to hit them all, but just a few.
Yeah.
Um, Baker was 9 for 15, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. John Lovett led the team in rushing, 14 for 35. Also led the team in receiving, 4 for 36. Shy, as we mentioned earlier, 3 for 32 in the touchdown. Dante Foreman, excuse me, had the other touchdown for the Panthers, one of his 2 catches. Tommy Tremble had 3 catches kind of early.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought he had a couple of nice runs after catch. So good to see that from our tight end. Anybody else on the offense you wanted to call out stats wise?
No, I think you hit everybody that of important or that really made an impact. I will say
Yeah.
Rashard Higgins had that one target that was dropped. That was that
Mm-hmm.
third down. That was on Rashard Higgins. That was a bad
Yeah.
route by him. He drifted way too deep on that. It was a good play by the cornerback
Mm-hmm.
too by Buffalo, but he drifted. It should have been boom boom. Instead, he just kind of,
Yeah.
and then that gave the
Yeah.
cornerback a little bit of extra time to hit him. And it was a good throw by
Yep.
Baker.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, Baker's stats could have been a lot better in this game. He could have easily had over 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Defense, real quick. Frankie Louvu with 8 tackles led the team. Again, just a really, really good game for him. Xavier Woods had the second most tackles with 5. Again, we had 3 sacks. Ioannidis and Derek Brown combined for 1. McCall had 1, and Austin Larkin had 1. Chin had the interception. Again, off a couple of deflections. A really nice job by him to keep his eye on the ball. Shy Smith and CJ Saunders both returned punts. I thought Saunders looked really good. I think Saunders might be kind of the odd man out though on this wide receiver depth chart. Unfortunately,
I
I
think they're
like
going to
his
need that
story, but
roster. I think
yeah,
they're going to need more roster spots for other position with the injuries. And yeah, I agree. I know we both had him on our 53-man roster, but those injuries are going to cause us to have to keep another quarterback to
yeah,
maybe look at other positions too that we may need to carry over.
yeah. On Buffalo, just real quick, couple of highlights there. Barkley was 9 for 13, 100 yards. Thought he played pretty well between punting and passing. I thought he had a nice game. Keenum was 8 for 13, did have the interception. Um, Blackshear led them in rushing, 13 rushes for 47 yards, and also had a couple of catches for 12 yards. And then Neil Pau, 4 for 46, led the team in receiving. So Spector with 8 tackles led them in tackles. They had 0 sacks. Again, just a really nice game for the Panthers in terms of protection. Didn't want to call out third down for Buffalo. They were 3 for 12 on third down. So
Yeah.
nice job by the Panthers getting off. I mean, overall for the Panthers, especially defensively, they just did a really good job.
Yeah, they really did. The defense is going to be the strength of the team again, and they
Mm-hmm.
look great. There was something I was going to bring up, but oh well, I can't remember it now. While we were going over those. Now, real quick before we sign off, since preseason's over, we did training camp stars. Who is your offensive and defensive preseason stars?
Oh gosh, defensive. I think we have to go Frankie Louvu, right? I don't think there's
I
too
was gonna
much.
go
I mean,
Brandon
you go
Smith.
Brandon Smith. Yeah, I figured you would. I think those guys can share the mantle. I think they
Yeah,
both had a really good preseason. Offensively, I don't know. Who would you go?
Shy Smith. Baker could easily take it because he's looked the
Yeah.
best. Like we needed that position, but I feel
Hmm.
like Shy Smith was kind of on the border of making this roster, and I think honestly, I think right now he deserves a spot.
I'm fine. I agree with that. I think he's had a really good preseason and has earned himself a spot on this team for sure. Because between his off season, the legal
Mm-hmm.
troubles he had, which may still be ongoing, I'm not sure. Between that and then just the really a lot of talent on the wide receiver core, him making this roster was not a guarantee. And
No,
in fact, preseason we thought he probably wasn't going to make the roster. So pretty happy for him. And again, he's played really well. Um, all right. Do you want to do a quick hero and zero for this game?
sure.
Okay. My hero is just going to be Baker. Again, we saw what we needed to see from him in this game. Very excited about the future with him. So he will be my hero. Who
He's
you
gonna
got?
be my hero too. I
Okay.
I feel so much confidence going into the season with him as a starting quarterback after this game because I saw zero mistakes from him. I saw him fit a ball
Mm-hmm.
into tight coverage. I saw him make the right reads. I saw him accurate. I feel comfortable. I mean that's
Yeah.
all I could say. I now feel so much better about the quarterback position.
I thought we saw every good thing he can do except go deep in this game because we
Yeah.
just didn't see a deep ball. But they didn't really need one. So, all right, zeros for this game. I'm going Terrace Marshall. This is a game where he had every opportunity, and
Yeah. I am gonna go Chuba Hubbard. 4 carries, 4 yards.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and we're expecting him to step up, being with the first team, and he was going against the second team of Buffalo Bills. You can't be averaging 1 yard per carry.
yeah, with our starting offensive line. So not very good. Jerry, that's 1 yard per carry. I did the math real quick for you.
Boom.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it, Jerry.
All right, well, I want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. We also would like to thank our sponsors that we forgot to do Manscaped ad
Oh, we
for.
didn't forget. We didn't forget. We just saved it till the end. Yeah,
uh,
cbdx.com and Manscaped. Check them out. Promo code MeowMix for Manscaped, promo code Meow for CBDX. All right. Our preview for Cleveland. We've got some fun things planned. We're going to go through the schedule. We're going to make our predictions for the season. We're going to do, some player predictions, things like that. So stay tuned there. We'll be back very shortly. And until then, oh, Jerry, happy birthday. Sorry. I
oh,
meant to tell you
thank
that
you.
at the beginning of the podcast. Happy birthday to Jerry. Jerry will be at the Charlotte FC game tonight. So if you happen to see him out there, say hello. Yes. And until next time, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.